Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to the mechanic series. Today we are covering the 360 dribble. If you guys wouldn't mind dropping a quick like, sub, comment, it helps the channel out, it helps me out. I really appreciate it. But other than that, let's get right into it, man. Alright, so for today's demonstration, we'll be using Dribble 2 Overhaul. Don't be alarmed though, you can do this in free play as well. I'm just going to show you guys how I taught myself how to do the mechanic here, and this is how I did it. Alright, and here we are. So, when it comes to the 360 dribble, my big advice is humble beginnings, alright? Because let's be honest here, this mechanic, most people don't even know how to do this. Like, I don't know a single soul near me for miles that knows how to do this mechanic. So just understand that starting out, we're gonna have to take some baby steps, but we're gonna get there, alright? So first things first, if you can't dribble in a straight line or just dribble in general like this, right? You're gonna have a hard time with this. It's just basically, you know, one step in front of the other. If you can't do dribble, you know, comfortably, right, and get the ball on the ball, like, you know, get the ball where you want it on the card, then you're gonna have a hard time doing this mechanic. It's just how it is, man. So like I said, as long as you can place the ball, you know, you have really good dribbling skills, right, and you can get the ball where you want to on the car, then you should be able to do this mechanic, definitely. So I'm gonna hit 360 under the ball, and then I'm gonna show you guys how I learned how to do this. Alright, so that's all good and fun, but now we're going to have to come back to this in a second. I'm going to show you guys on the other field back in training to show you guys some really important nuances of the actual, you know, motion itself. So this 360 motion that you're doing, pretty important, right? So let's look at it. Alright, so because I genuinely want you guys to be able to hit this mechanic, I'm going to take it slow, and I'm going to explain it to you like you're 5, alright? Alright, so let's get one thing straight. What buttons do we use? We use drive, we use boost, we use drift, like this, right? We use our drift, and we also use the reverse button, right? So reverse, drive, you know, drift, and boost, right? Those are kind of the main buttons that we're going to use, all right? Now, what combination are we using them? So as some of you may know, if you just, you know, hold your drift button and you boost some, right? You start to do one of these, right? You know, whether you hold it or just do this, right? You know, you kind of do this little, right? And then eventually we come to this point, right? So this, in essence, is sort of what the 360 is about. But the main problem that one runs into when doing these spins, just like this, right, you holding the drift button, is that there's no real control. And if we add the ball on top, right, you know, obviously I could try and, you know, show it here, but like, you know, if I just do that only, you'll never be able to catch the ball. There's more to it than that, right? So if you want what looks like to be the actual 360, you're gonna have to incorporate some reverse, right? So I could, again, like I said, do this all day, do that, but in order for, you know, you to do a 360, you have to adjust more than that, right? And by adjust more, I mean you need more control. So what I need you to do is understand is that you need to use your reverse button to back out, right? To, you know, because again, when you control the ball, you have to make sure that you're underneath it the whole time. But doing this, again, like I said, it won't help you, or at least it won't be enough, right? So what you have to do is hold your reverse button, you know, every here and there. So boom, reverse, go back. Boom, reverse, go back. Boom, reverse, go back. All right, I want you guys to look. Okay, do a little, right? So we're trying to reverse when our, you know, our back is facing us. I know, kind of hard to visualize here, but you know, let's do it again. So boom, and then when, right, kind of creates this kind of motion like this. So the way we're able to get a lot of control just from this movement itself is that we can really move our car in a lot of different ways with different speeds, different velocities. You know, we can spin out more or less depending on how much, you know, reverse we use. So if I don't use any reverse, I get one of these again, right? If I start to add a little bit of reverse, right, I start to, you know what I mean? I start to swing quite a bit, right? That's what I like to call it. It's a swing. That's how it feels anyways. Like I'm swinging on the floor, right? Swing, swing, swing. Right? I use that reverse to swing my car out, the tail end anyways, right? So I use the tail, and so the reverse button makes the tail, right, like jut out like that, right? So every time I use the reverse button, it starts to, you know, the car comes back towards me, right? And so in order to complete a full 360, you really do need that full control, right? You need to use, you know, everything that you can to make sure you can keep control of the ball, right? And stay underneath it. So one really cool drill I found when looking up how to do 360 is using this ring right here with the line. So this line right here, yada yada. right? This one right here. So if you just try and 360 on this line, that's kind of a good way to like envision what actually having control over 360 looks like, rather than just like doing random, you know, inputs like this, right? Oh no, like, you know what I mean? But if you do it, you know, if you use this line right here and you try and 360 on it and stay like on the line the whole time, then you can kind of visualize how that reverse button is really important, right? And how it affects your car. And it's actually a lot harder than it looks to like, you know, get your car to stay on that line the whole time. Like, there's actually quite a bit of control, you know, and practice required to you get really good at staying on the line here, but that's just a good way to visualize it. And I'll just say right now, I genuinely, you know, could practice this mechanic a lot more and get a lot better at it. I just haven't put the time in. But, you know, this is a really good way to train it, I believe. From what I saw, I think this was good. To just try and 360 on this line right here. Because then, like I said, it allows you to understand, like, how much reverse can I add without, quote-unquote, messing up, right? You know, what are the boundaries I can push here? You know, and then you just kind of experiment, like how often should I, you know, tap the brake or the drift button? Do I stop drifting and then brake? You know, but I mean, for the most part, you use both. You just kind of alternate between the two. So I always hold drift the whole time and then just, you know, hold reverse for an extended amount of time for how much I want, right? And then, you know, different levels of, like, depending on how long I hold it for, you know, that's going to create a different type of swing. You know, swing more or less or a certain direction, you know what I mean? So the main thing I want you guys to take away from this is it's, you know, 360s, I could try and explain it in technicals, but really does just come down to practice. And it's more of a feeling, if anything, once you get really into it. And then, of course, as always, there's always going to be a mirror option for this, right? So if you want to go the other way, that's completely possible. It's a thing, right, to go the other way. So, you know, whatever suits your fancy, right? But, you know, if you want to get really good both ways, that's completely up to you. Just make sure you practice both ways. So boom, and then, you know, I'm really bad this way, so I'm not very good. But, you know, that's the idea. So, you guys, it was pretty much only until after I hit my first few 360s that I really realized, like, how much you could practice and get good at this, right? Because there's definitely, like I said, you could practice this a lot. And some people do have really good 360 skills, but, you know, you have to practice it, right? So, and again, these people who are good at it, they just have practice between, you know, what I understand to be, you know, the few buttons and, you know, the control, right? Of L1, L2, and circle, or whatever buttons they use, you know, drift, reverse, and boost. And then one more thing before I totally gloss over it, and if I did, that'd be catastrophic, right? So when you're doing these drift turns, right? So if I hold to, let's say, the left, right? So left turn, right? I just hold the left, right? It'll go, right? But then if I go the other way, it like does it, I don't know, like, see that? It stops and it like locks out. So boom, left. So if I hold left, it goes this, and it goes really tight, like super tight turns. But then if I go the other way and I cancel it out like this, like that, see that? It spins out a little bit, like goes a little bit wider. So again, super tight turn like this, and if I go the other way, so push to the right, boom, does that. See, and I just tilt back and forth. Boom, tight, hold, tight, hold, left, right, hold, right. And it, you know, you can control, like, you know what I mean? You guys can't visualize it like as if I was, you know, looking at my car from a sky view, right? But if you guys were looking from above me, you'd see that I'm getting different lines. I'm getting different circles that are of not equal length or, you know, distance, or, you know what I mean? Just these tails that I'm creating, depending on how much I give in or don't give in. You know what I mean? All right, I'm doing this really weird thing with my controller right now on my knees so I can, like, do this, but, like, I'm trying to give you guys a more top-down view of, like, the car when you guys are doing 360s like this, right? You know, boom. See that? I'm just trying to see if you guys can visualize it a little bit better if I do it like this or something, you know? There we go. See? So depending, again, like I said, how much I give in or don't give in, right? Look at that, right? There's just so many different ways that you could do, like, you know what I mean? There's so much variation. So at the end of the day, guys, doing 360 dribbles is really no different than all your other forms of training, like aerial car control or, you know, flip resets. You know, it's all the same, right? Like, there's just this level of control on the ground that I didn't think was possible before, but it is possible. It's just, you know, comes in this weird form of you know, using your drift button and your reverse button, and you get these types of motions, and it's really crazy, you know, like, people get really good at this, you know, But anyways, I hope that kind of debunked the, not necessarily a myth, but like, you know, just the magic behind how people actually get these, and you know, the actual level of practice that's required in order to do this while also holding the ball underneath their car, right? So if I haven't made this very clear by the end of this, is that the key here is experimentation. Experiment, you know, mess with it, try it, practice it, you know, like really put some time into it, you know. All right, I really hope you guys can excuse my mumbo jumbo of all that and stuff, but like I swear it's really important. Like it really is. Like if you don't understand, I'm telling you guys right now, if you don't understand this and like just what goes into this part alone, you'll never be able to get, you know, be able to do this while also controlling the ball at the same time. It's not going to come to you. And of course, regardless, I believe that no matter how much you do this though, that unless you start to try and incorporate the ball underneath, you'll never truly get, you know, you'll never master the 360. So involving the ball is at some point going to be important here in order for you to get this down. So like I said before, you guys can do 360s either way, either from left, you know, from right to left like that, or from left to right. You know, it's both are possible. But just starting out for this, I'm going to go from right to left like this, okay? All right, now I've got all that out of the way. This is going to be the official step one. So step number one, what is step number one? Step number one is get the ball on top of your head. I know, given, right? So what we're going to do is, at least for right to left, so like this type of spin, right? What we're going to do is we're going to get a catch, okay? But we're going to, as we slowly but surely catch the ball, right? We're going to make sure that doesn't go too fast, because if it goes too fast, we're going to have an issue, right? Because let me stop myself. So if I go here, bang, right? I want to slowly but surely get to the right side of the ball, like this, right? So the main problem we're going to run into is just speed. So, like, you don't need to go that fast for a 360. Like, you actually need to slow yourself down more than anything else, all right? But, you know, when I first started to learn this, okay, what I did is I would just pop it up and then have it, you know, my car lean more to the right side of the ball, like this, boom, and then make sure that I lean more to the right, so I can start 360ing to the left, if that makes sense, right? So boom, and then just lean there, and then start to go like that, right? So the problem you're gonna run into is that if you're going too fast, you're gonna spin out way past the ball like that, right? Let's do it one more time. Boom. If I go too fast, I do that, you're just gonna always spin, you know, way out past the ball, and you're not gonna get anything on it. So boom, do it again. So if that was actually okay, but you know, the main issue we're gonna run into is just we're gonna 360 way out in front of the ball, right? If we're going too fast, right? Way too far in front of it. Like that, see that? That's the issue, right? Is us 360ing to the point where we spin out like this, so we don't want that. So again, in order to avoid that, we're gonna just go a little slower and then 360, right? Because again, you don't need to go very fast for this mechanic, right? You don't, you really don't. Slow and steady, boom. And you just, like I said, your turn radius is a lot tighter than you think. Like when you're doing the mechanic here, like it's much tighter than you realize, right? Like this, you know, you don't need to go very far to get a full 360 in. All right, so the next big hurdle is when do you start the 360, or where does the 360 start and end, right? And that can be very confusing, and it was definitely confusing for me when I first started. But basically, my way of learning it is I would go here, and then I want to imagine the top right. So look at the circle down there, okay? Look at the circle, okay? So if I go straight at it, okay, look at the holo right down there, right? That's what we're gonna focus on. So I'm gonna go, boom, and then I want to naturally gravitate towards the top right of that circle, right? Okay, and then I'm gonna 360 to the top left. So look, imagine that circle is like a square, right? I'm going to the top right and 360ing back to the top left, right? So in space, it's gonna look a little weird, right? So over here is top left, technically, right? Because boom, and then top left, right? So if I'm doing a 360 from the right to the left, I'm gonna go top right to top left, like that. You see that? So just to make sure everyone's on the same page, I'm gonna put my car where every single corner is. So watch, boom. This is like bottom right. This is bottom left. This is top right up here, and then this is top left up here, right about there, right? Okay, and then another big tip I like to give others who are trying to do this is that when you are starting here, you can actually get pretty far into the 360 without using your reverse. Okay, so you can probably get like 40 to 50% through the 360, and maybe more like 30 or 40%, right? Of just using the drifts, right? So for me, you know, I'm doing 360, me just using the normal drift like this with no reverse, you can get about like I said, 30 to 40% through the 360 without using a reverse button. But I mean, like I said, so boom, here, reverse, 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 or not reverse, sorry, drift, right? Drift, 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 and then reverse, right? So it's like a micro adjustment at that point, right? So I can get, like I said, pretty far into 360. Oh, see? Like so you guys can get a lot farther into the 360 than you think you can without using the reverse button. You just need that little bit of micro adjustment with the reverse to swing back out to make sure that you're, you know what I mean, you stay, you're tight, your circle's tight, right? Because again, if you don't use reverse, you're gonna spin out, you know, somewhere in the process. All right, here's another real quick thing. So if you guys, I want you guys to really focus on my left stick, because I feel like this is where most people are gonna get tripped up, is with that left stick control. All right, and that's just because, so when you're holding either to the left or to the right, you know, with the stick, right, depending on what control you're using, right? So if I'm using drift, right, and I go back and forth like this, right? So just remember, you guys can only turn left or right, right? Like left, right, left, right. That's basically your only way you can move the stick. But just remember, when you start using reverse, the car is going to behave a little bit differently when you start using reverse, right? It reacts to that left, right, you know, back and forth a little bit differently when you start to add reverse. So again, I go here, you know, just cut back in and out, just using normal drift, right? But then I start to add some reverse, like again, like I said, the car will behave a little differently to how you move that stick, right? Depending on how I exaggerate or don't exaggerate, right? And that's why, again, I really emphasize practicing this before incorporating the ball, because, you know what I mean? Because this left stick motion, you only really get a feel for it when you practice the actual 360 motion, right? And you just kind of like experiment, right? Moving the stick around, you know? Try and get some fluid going. All right, so once your car has pretty much hit that top left part of the holo right there down below you, right? That's when you really need to like go at it with reverse, right? And really that swing, which is just what I'm gonna call it, because that's what I feel like I'm gonna call it right now, is just the swing, right? So in order to finish a 360, right, we need to obviously do a full 360, right? But in order to do a full 360, you need to swing, right? Because if you don't swing enough like this, right, you'll never finish it. But with using that reverse button, that's how you're gonna get the full swing. So here, right, you're like, I need more turn, right? You're just like, I don't have enough here, right? I just need, more turn, more, like, you know, you need more. So here, that's where we use reverse. Boom, and reverse. So I just really want you guys to look back at the example I just did right now and just like really pay attention to like how I really need that reverse button to help me swing through the rest of 360. So one really big issue I ran into when trying to learn this is that I would like get maybe like 70% through the 360 thinking like, oh yeah, that's enough spin. I have it, right? But in reality, I didn't have it, right? Like you have to spin more than you think sometimes. Like here, like I really have to just keep going. Like I'm telling you right now, like I get like halfway through and I would think like, oh yeah, no, I got this. Like here, I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm good. No, I wasn't good. I still have like 30% more spin to go. So again, like I said, a lot of times I thought like, oh yeah, I could stop spinning. Like just keep spinning, just keep going. There we go, that was good, right? You just have to just keep going until you're for sure got something going. And if I didn't say this, like pretty much until your car is facing forward again, you're not in the clear to stop 360ing, right? You just have to keep spinning until your car is facing the other way. Ooh, like that. There we go. Now we're good. All right, I think in essence, I've taught you guys how to do it, but just for those who appreciate it, and honestly, if it were me, I would also appreciate this, is I'm gonna do it in slow-mo. All right, I really hope that slow-mo example helped. So if you guys really like can feel me right now with like just how much, like you just need to practice it. You need to feel it out, because there's a lot of, I'm getting you that example right now. There's a lot of moments where I was like micro adjusting quite a bit, either with the stick, you know, like this, so like that, or tapping my reverse button. You know, like there's so much micro adjusting that happens with this mechanic, it's ridiculous. You know what I mean? So don't feel bad if you don't get this first try. All right, I'm gonna call it for teaching it in that aspect, but now we're gonna get into how to practice it. What did I do to actually learn how to do this? Or just like, what was I practicing to get here? So one day I just loaded up Dribble 2 Overhaul. I was like, I guess I'm gonna try it. All right, that's what I did, right? I mean, obviously not, but so here, this is my goal, okay? This is my goal. I would open up Dribble 2 Overhaul. If you don't have Dribble 2 Overhaul, that's fine. Just try and get some type of straightaway in free play, and then try and, you know, send it. But if you can't, that's fine. All right. So what is what I'm just telling you guys what I did. This is what I did. Dribble 2 Overhaul, level 1. Okay, level 1. You just pick one direction that you want a 360 that feels the most natural to you, whether it's right to left or left to right, like this. Right, whatever one you feel more natural, just pick one, okay? And just do it over and over again, like the way I taught, right? And I want you to get your goal to be 1 360 per level. So at least for level 1, 1 360, all right? Just keep going at it and going and going and going to get 1 360, and then you can score it. You know what I mean? All right, and then for level 2, okay, once you move past level 1, which by the way, level 1's hard in this aspect because getting 1 360 is like hallelujah. At least it was for me, right? Just to get even 1. Like, that was insane, okay? So once you get past 1, which by the way, if you do get past 1, I'm clapping for you right now because that is insane. Like, that is literally like one of the coolest things I've ever hit in this game, is to do a 360 for the first time. I thought it was awesome, right? So if you hit your first 360, I seriously want you to give yourself a round of applause. Like, good job, man. That shit's hard. So once again, if you can level up from level 1, which is just to hit your first 360 or at least 1, then the next one to get for me to, you know, get better was to do 2 on level 2. So I go here, do 1 360 here, 360 like that, catch it, you know, get back control, regain control like this, right? And then I would do it again. Like, you know, I would go for another one, right? And then I would complete the level, all right? But no matter what way you cut it, level 1 or level 2, whichever one you do, they're both hard. And just getting 360s in general is going to be difficult. So don't be discouraged, again, if you don't get this first try. I did not get it first try. And it was only until I hit 2 360s in a row on this level right here that I realized, like, holy hell, like, this is something you can actually practice and get good at. Like, that first, like, I just knew at that point that first 360 I hit wasn't luck. And that I could actually hit multiple if I tried hard enough and practiced enough. All right, and just for you guys, I'm going to try and hit 2 in a row just to show you this is possible and I'm not just talking out of my bum, all right? All right, to end out the video, guys, I want to give you the #1 biggest tip for the 360 dribble, and that is the setup. If you are struggling with the 360, look at your setup. It's probably the setup, okay? Like, setup, in my opinion, for the 360 is like #1, all right? So if you guys are having trouble hitting it, look back at your form, see if you're rushing it, you know, getting impatient. Because if you get impatient, right, and you don't look at your form, that's probably why you're not getting it, okay? So if you're getting frustrated, if you're rushing things, you know, that's probably why you're not hitting it. So #1 for you guys is form, okay? All right, you guys, that's all I got for today. Let me know if that helped. If it did help you, leave a comment, leave a like or something. If you guys work really hard at the mechanic and you guys take my tips, I'm very confident that you can get 360. But until then, I'll see you guys later. Bye.